Today we're going to talk about the 4 main types of camera shake that you can use in CGI animation to make your shots come alive, and the 2 components that make up the camera shake settings.
Hey, welcome to Real Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road.
Welcome back to Real Time Workflows. I'm kind of not talking real time specifically today. This is a software agnostic chat. In the next lesson, I'm going to go through how to apply these things in Unreal Engine. I'm not going to do it for the other pieces of software, but I'm going to do it for Unreal. But the first thing I want to talk about is the 2 things that make up camera shake in the main. Or the settings in different softwares will kind of slightly differ, but in general, you're going to see, if we just look here at the blackboard, you're going to see 2 different settings. Really, you're going to see frequency, which means speed, and you're going to see amplitude, which means size. You might also see things like rotation. You might also be able to add camera shake to different channels, so you could maybe do it on translate or rotate or both or whichever. But generally speaking, you're going to have access to these 2 for whatever settings are in your software for camera shake. So what this kind of means is that if you imagine a piece of paper and you put a pin in that piece of paper, it's on a table, and you can then move that pin around, right? You can either move it in a very big shape, that's amplitude, and you can either do it slow or fast. And if you do it in a very small shape, that's the frequency getting higher, and it goes faster as the frequency gets higher. So I've made a table. We've got the type of shake. Each one will have a frequency and an amplitude, and a kind of a way to animate it on, which I'm going to get through. So generally speaking, hopefully you should have a way to like turn it on over time. So it's set to 0 and there's no shake, and it's set to 1 or something like that, and it's at full shake. But you should be able to interpolate between those as well. So you could have it set to 0.5 and actually ramp it up to full. So that's what the anim column will be, is kind of a guide on how to use that kind of shape. Right, so our first kind of camera shake is drift. Drift is a very common one for me because I just find that it just adds a nice bit of keep alive to the camera without you having to animate it. So in the camera animation video, I talked about micro adjustments. Those are valid, that you can use those, and that gives you a little bit of this drift. It means that the camera feels like it's actually alive. It's actually got some life to it. It's not completely dead and locked off. CG cameras can feel very locked off because there's just, especially if nothing's moving in the scene, it's just very static. You know, if nothing's moving in the scene and the camera's locked off, you might as well render 1 frame of it. So for drift, our frequency would tend to be low, and our amplitude would also tend to be low. Let me demonstrate. I've got this set up in Nuke. This is not a Nuke lesson, obviously. I don't really know much about Nuke anyway, but I do know that this is the best software I can think of to demonstrate visually demonstrate this idea. So I've brought a single image in. I've added a tiny touch of rotation to the default settings, but other than that, you can see here that the frequency is 0 and amplitude is 0. So if we're talking very low and very low, what will happen is we'll go frequency very low and amplitude very low. Okay, and if I just zoom right into this middle bit, we might just start to see this shape occur. You see that? And now we can see what it does is that pin I talked about that goes in the screen actually moves on this curve. So you can kind of visualize the curve and what it's doing. I think that's probably too high. If we come out here, we'll probably see that it's actually doing quite a lot that we don't want it to do. So we can actually, it's not really doing very much, right? So if we could turn up the amplitude a bit more. Again, these are going to be slightly different for every piece of software. So we can see that's kind of a drift there. There's a little bit of motion in it, but it's not a lot. It's not designed to draw the eye. You're not really meant to notice it. It's just very definitely not completely dead. We'll go to a second type of camera shake, which is mounted. Okay, so this is when it's going to be mounted on an object. Common one is a car. So you'd add when you've got a camera that's mounted to a car, it actually, depending on how it was mounted, but it probably won't actually vibrate very much. You know, because it's locked to the car. So you think about the car moving, it's probably not going to move that much, but we want to see some life in it, right? So we would add some. And this is also, if you just think about like how's it being filmed? Is it being filmed as a camera mounted to a car, even if we're not actually in story mounted to a car? Are we moving fast? Because if we're moving fast, we're probably mounted on a vehicle, even if there's not a vehicle in shot or anything like that. We're probably mounted on a vehicle, and then you can add some camera shake and it starts to feel alive. So in this instance, you're going to want a high frequency and a low amplitude. So let's try that one. So a high frequency, bear in mind this is, so let's come into our middle bit so we can see what our shape is. So a high frequency, let's see what that feels like. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of feel of that might be on a, mounted to a car, just rumbling, vibrating, and you're gonna get, if that's on a fast moving camera, it's gonna start to add some energy to it all. Our third one is handheld. Now handheld's kind of like it's kind of the shittest one, and it's kind of like where the settings are the kind of default. Because I think it's medium and medium. The problem with a handheld camera shake using this method, this is the weakest one of the four, and if you could find a different way to do it than just doing it procedurally, for this one it's better. It is better to have an actual handheld camera, so you could record one in Unreal or whatever. But this one can feel a little bit shit because it's neither fish nor fowl, if you know what I mean. So that's the kind of thing. You can see how it's much more gentle. It's not moving a lot. It's a little bit distracting. Okay, and final kind of camera shake is impact, and this is my favorite one. You will get the most bang for your buck with this one. So the frequency will be medium and the amplitude will be high, but there'll be a significant difference here, right? So what we're gonna do is, so we'll go frequency higher than that, and amplitude higher than that. So, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a keyframe. I'm gonna keyframe the amplitude here. Usually you can keyframe the overall effect. It would depend on which software you're using, but usually you can keyframe the overall effect. I think in Nuke I tend to animate the amplitude because it's the only thing I can do. And I'm gonna do it over like maybe 3 keyframes. Set key there, and then let it be on for a couple of keyframes. Set key there, and then let it die off over a few, and then set this to 0. Okay, and then this one would be 0 as well. So this is going to be completely still, and then boom. Okay. And the graph for that, see, looks like this. And I would probably usually set these to be like this. And I would probably set that to be flat like that. So then we get so that's a kind of camera shake that you can use in it's when a dinosaur, T-Rex foot lands on the ground. It's when an object comes past camera. There's a spaceship rumbles past, anything like that. And what happens is we get, as I just demonstrated there, we get a curve that it comes along like that, and it goes up and spikes up, and then it can kind of die off like that. It could also go spike up like that. Sometimes I use that one if it's a really sharp thing, but like if it's a spaceship going past, it'd be more like this. So that's a spaceship going past, because it's gonna go suddenly it's there and then it'll just kind of die off. But if it was kind of a T-Rex foot landing or a dinosaur, whatever it is, something that's very sharp, like this is a sharp point, something that just starts and stops immediately, it'll just spike up like this in the curve and kind of come back down. These other ones are kind of going to be, they're going to go, a handheld one will go up and down in overall intensity. Intensity is maybe a better word for this. Intensity. it's going to go up and down in intensity based on how fast the character's running, for example, how much of a handheld feel we want. A mounted one is kind of on, obviously if the car starts, so the car's going faster, so you faster the car goes, and same as this really. So faster it goes, the more you want it. With drift, it's just kind of always on, so it's like, you might bring it up or down depending, but these are kind of what the animation curves look like. Let me just show you my my Jurassic World reel, and we can kind of figure out what which shots are where the camera shakes. If you want to watch this reel, you can watch it. There's a link up there. It's on YouTube. So we got one there as the door opens, and then we got big impact there as he hit the thing, and then we've got that's there is some drift on this if I remember rightly. There's a little impact there. Do you feel that one? There was a little impact when he dropped back in to the pillar, and now we've got there's a little bit handheld feel on that one, and then an impact there as he spins round. Okay, bit of generic handheld on that one, I think. It didn't add camera shake to those, and I should have done really, but they didn't have gone in the film, as you might know. So this one's pretty cool. So we're getting up. There's a little bit of drift on the camera here, and a little bit of shake, but then boom, a big impact there. And then this next one's really interesting because as the dinosaurs get closer, we're building up the shake until really it's just generally it's all impact. But even then, I was animating the curves and just giving them a little bit of drift on this one. This one's super steady. I didn't want to use the choice here was to not use any, because I mean this is one of the proudest shots. This is the shot I'm most proud of that I've ever made. But there was a deliberate choice there to not use any because I wanted it to be so steady and just so considered, and it was moving really slowly as well, so it didn't need any. So that's camera shake, and in the next lesson I'm going to show you how to apply this in a few different ways in Unreal Engine. So I'll see you in that one. Chat to you in a bit.